I've noticed, again, I don't know if this is just because you're on YouTube now and you're doing more of these collaborations and sharing those with people, or maybe you've always done this where you team up with other really high-level climbers. But yeah, you've done a lot more collaborations with Adam Ondra and Stefano Gisolfi in the last few years. How has it impacted your climbing to spend time with those guys, to team up with them and try some of the hardest routes in the world with these other really amazing climbers?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't like, especially in the case of like trying B.I.G with Adam, I wouldn't say YouTube had anything to do with it. I mean, maybe in that term, like a little, like why it was also adding up even better was because he just changed to a sponsorship with Mammoth as well, and I was also with Mammoth, so it was really easy to also make the videos together. So I would say like we would have always loved to team up on B.I.G, even if we didn't have sponsors or there was no video or whatever, just because we're both like super psyched climbers and we know how much more fun it is and how much more easy it is if we try the route together. All those things already happened like way before we were all on YouTube. You know, I've known Adam and also Stefano for so many years, and I've also climbed with them so much on all the competitions. You guys only see us on the wall once you're like out there climbing in front of a crowd, but there's so much more happening in the back. Like we're warming up together, we're talking about the route, about all the projects that we have outside on the rocks in ISO, and yeah, it was just some good opportunities to climb with them again, and it's definitely something that has always been really important to me. I've grown up already as a climber who climbs in a team, who is always training with his buddies, you know. So I'm like that kind of person that if I have to train alone, those are like by far the worst sessions, and I hate it. Like I really need people around me, and I need friends to train with, because that's what makes me most psyched, and also I feel like I'm learning the most. And I mean, especially Adam is definitely one of the climbers I learned the most from over the years. I mean, he has beat me multiple times in competition, and obviously then it's the guy that you're looking up to. You're trying to watch his videos and everything and try to analyze what he does differently than you. And I think I definitely try to copy some of the things that he does best.
I love that. I was going to ask you about that, and it's so cool to hear that at your level, I mean, you know, you're trying B.I.G with him and you ultimately do it first, that you're still hungry and you're still willing to explore what he's doing and analyze it and learn from him. Hey friends, I want to take a second to tell you about my new favorite climbing shoes. I fell in love with these this year. This is the Drone CS from Madrock. It's an amazing bouldering shoe, and I actually sent all of my hardest boulders in 2023 wearing the Drone CS. I also just got my first pair of the Drone 2.0. The Drone 2.0 is a huge improvement over the original, in my opinion. It has a lot of the same features as the Drone CS, which I love. It's just a little bit stiffer and more supportive, and you can really toe into small footholds and edge really well with this shoe. I really love both of these shoes, and I think they complement each other really well. If you want to check them out, head over to madrock.com and use code NUGGET at checkout to save 10% off your first order. That's madrock.com. Use code NUGGET to save 10% off your order. All right, enjoy the rest of the video. What are some of the things that you've learned from climbing with Adam?
There's always, like, you know, everyone has his strengths and weaknesses. I mean, Adam has some things he does amazing, and then there's other things where there's someone else that excels at it, and you obviously always want to look at the people that are best at anything. Like there's outdoor climbing, and there's competitions. Like, I don't know, there's like some of the Japanese climbers that are just excel at some things. Like if you take Tomoa Narasaki on like dynamic boulders, I don't think there's anyone that can challenge him. And obviously if you're like thinking about dynamic boulders, you try to look at him and watch videos and what he does. But I would say, yeah, Adam is obviously the climber that I have done the most competitions with over like the last, like almost 20 years or like 15 years. He has always been a climber that really inspired me. And I would say the biggest difference in our climbing styles were, especially back in the day, that he would climb way faster than me and also way riskier. Like he would basically whenever, like, it doesn't matter if it was qualification, semifinal, or final at a comp, it looked like he would go all in. That meant he was climbing very efficiently, but also pretty risky, and maybe sometimes he would mess up and maybe not even make finals. I mean, obviously that was really rare, but he could be like 8th in finals because he would slip or whatever, you know. And I would be more of the super safe climber. Like, I would almost always reach the podium or basically always make finals. But if I'm against Adam in finals and he doesn't make a mistake, he just climbs more efficient than me because he's not climbing as safe, and I basically have no chance beating him. So that was always something I was like mad about my style, and I really like, if you could flip the switch and say, okay, just in finals I'm gonna climb like Adam, probably I would have done that, but that's not really easy. It's like kind of your climbing style, right? So I think that's something I really try to learn from him, like climb faster, climb with more risk, and just like try to go all in more. And it's also something that, especially this year, or no, yeah, it's like 9th of January, it's still hard because we're in the next year, but like 2023, I think I did it really well. Just climbing way faster, way more efficient, without any fear. And that's something I've always looked up to Adam and tried to learn from him.
Yeah. That's really interesting. And I'm going to fill in a little context for people listening. I think most people understand this, but when you say risk, you're not talking about physical risk. You're talking about you know, moving with more momentum and saving energy, but at the cost of you have a higher likelihood of slipping or not hitting the next hold just right or whatever. And it sounds like you climb slower, in more control, and kind of overpower things a little bit more. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, he's known for that, you know, in his outdoor climbing. Have you noticed, I mean, that's really interesting. One thing that's really different about competitions versus outdoor climbing is that outdoor climbing, you always get to try the route again. So have you noticed that it's been more helpful to shift towards that riskier style for outdoor projects because you get to try again if you slip off?
Of course. I mean, that's also why, like, once I've projected way more, I think it was also easier for me to understand the style from Adam, for example, because if you're like projecting a lot of routes, you automatically get this kind of style. Like, you have everything really automated, like and so you can really power through it or climb really, really fast sometimes. Doing it on an on-site in a comp route is obviously way different, but trying to do it and being it makes you pretty efficient if you're able to do it. So it makes sense. But yeah, outdoors, obviously I'm trying to do the same thing. I think you still have to be like, sometimes it's not even the best concept. I think like, it's climbing faster doesn't always mean climbing more efficient. I think you have to find your way, because you can also overpower by climbing too fast. But if you're like watching videos of B.I.G, for example, I think there is sections where we definitely climb quite fast just because we know it so well, and really, like, you know, you don't have to spend a single thought about where you have to place your foot or whatever, so you can climb really fast and save power by that.